What up, guys? Welcome back to the WRPF podcast. I'm your host, Alex Uslar. Episode 64. If you listened to last week's episode 63, I mentioned this beautiful Asian man. All right. Jordan Wong. I've known Jordan for a very long time, right? He was not always as beautiful. He used to be kind of like a fat lard ish,
Mhm.
if you will, a typical fat powerlifter who was also an all-time world record holder, right? And then now he's a gym owner. He runs now what this year is looking to be one of the top pro meets that you guys heard me talk about, king and queen of the platform. And he's one of my very good friends. I talk more with Jordan than I talk with my wife a lot of the time. Believe it or not, even though we live together, we're both two equipment nerds, I'd say.
It's a good problem to have.
It's pretty cool. I was thinking about this when I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to finally interview Jordan. I interview a lot of gym owners, but like, how cool is it that we get to spend so much of our time just thinking of ways to improve our gym, and we get to spend money on just cool shit like that, and it makes us money. It's so fucking cool.
Not just money, thousands of dollars of shit we barely use ourselves.
That is the best part. You're completely right. We test it to make sure it's in one piece, and then
Mhm.
we throw it to everyone else.
Yep.
So, Jordan, like we talked about, we're going to talk about a lot of things, but we're going to go chronologically. All right. So, I want to hear. I always have open powerlifting open, right? And you got a lot of history in open powerlifting. First fucking question: who the fuck is this Jordan who competed in Australia? Is that you?
It was not me.
Okay,
That
I
was
figured as much. I'm like, are you hiding some kind of
no,
fucking accent?
no, I think that was probably before I even started lifting. Was that before
Yeah,
'09?
2008. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't do my first meet yet. So some other can I say chink on here? Some other
Yeah.
chink.
Yeah. Why
Don't
not?
get demonetized.
I mean, because you are it, so you are allowed to say that. Me,
Yeah.
racism.
No, you
All
can say
right,
it.
so we're gonna take it back. 2008. Some other insert word that you just said, fucking encroaching on your open powerlifting. But then you burst into the scene, a young 18-year-old Jordan Wong. Talk to me
Mhm.
about that. What got you into powerlifting? And Jesus Christ, that was early days.
Yeah, so my first meet's not actually on there. It was I think it was 2 months before that first meet. So it was February 2009. It was an APA meet when that was still a thing. Actually, the meet I held last weekend, some guy told me he was doing APA meet. And I was like, I have no idea that still existed.
Yeah,
So,
I did a bench only APA meet a couple of years ago. Yeah.
so that was like the main thing around here. There was no open powerlifting, obviously. There's Powerlifting Watch. Um, APA held meets in like Tampa, Arcadia, like Arcadia of all places. And I saw the Tampa one. I just got into lifting weights, and I'm the type of person that like when I hear about something, I'm that like nerd that just gets obsessed with it. So once I learned what the big three was on the internet forums, I'm like, all right, I'll learn how to squat, bench, and deadlift. And the whole thing at that time was the 1,000 pound club. Then there's like competitions for it. So I'm learning how to actually get better at those lifts. So just like all of us, I was on the bodybuilding.com forum as someone that looks nothing like a bodybuilder. And there's a powerlifting subsection, and I started reading there. And they like asked a question, and I remember the guy, Bill Newman, on the forum. His name was Isiku 900, and he's like, just do a meet. And he sent me a powerlifting watch. I'm like, oh shit, there's one in Tampa. And I told my mom and grandparents, and they took me, and it's been all up and downhill since then.
It's so cool and so crazy. Powerlifting watch. If you got into powerlifting around 10 years ago, Jordan's talking about 15 years ago, but around 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, that was like really the only resource that we had. I feel like powerlifting watch kind of went down or was stopped being updated probably around 2015, 2016. But it's funny because from when you found it in 2009 till when it was pretty much done in 2015, correct me if I'm wrong, that thing didn't change at all. It was just like a
It's
super
just
simple, just
just
like,
a list. Yeah. And if you wanted to be featured, you had to send it in yourself. And this was really before social media was a thing. So it was all YouTube. So you'd see, like, if you look my name up, you'll probably see like shit from like '09, '10, '11. And it's like grainy videos using YouTube editor and like stuff I'm embarrassed to look at. It's like, I made that shit. We had to list our sponsors on it, figure that out. But Yeah, and then
And that,
powerlifting.
but that's what's cool about it too, is since you were quote unquote nerd about that shit, you went all in and you did all that stuff, as opposed to other people who found it at the time might not have dove so deep in and they don't have kind of that history and that archive like you do.
Yeah, and I got really lucky too at that time period because at my first meet, Chad Walker, he was the I think number three, pretty much all time around that time frame of like that time period, super heavyweight multiply lifting, and he lived down the street. And I ended up linking up with him and a group of guys at his house for the next probably like 8 years until like all of our jobs and shit went different ways, schedules changed. And without like that group, I would have not been introduced to like a lot of people in that time period, like Brian Carroll and all those guys in Jacksonville and people on the East Coast up here in Tampa. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you were in a pretty fortunate position where you kind of just were into lifting, you find out about meets, and in Florida through that time, there was tons of it, right? And that led you to just 2 years into it, getting to do Raw Unity, right? So take me through that. Let's talk a little bit about Raw Unity because I've touched on it a little bit with people who even went and did it in later years, but 2011, that's pretty early on in Raw Unity. So take me through going into that meet and your first big meat ultimately before big meats were even a fucking thing, really.
Well, this will show the evolution of powerlifting numbers and skills when I talk about this. So I think the first one I did might have been the fifth one or the fourth one. I think the other one was in Texas. I think I don't even know if
It's
it was
four. It's four. IV, I think, means four, right? One vote in
it was
the
like
Romans.
one total or something like that. So I don't know if that was the first or second one in Florida, but pretty much that was like the meet, like you said. So like my big goal, I was like, oh fuck, like one day I gotta win that meet. I want to make it to the meet. And I think the qualifying total for my weight division at the time was 1509. So I did a meet that was actually at the same venue. I think it was the Mike Whitmer Memorial in June or the Tony Connors extravaganza in October. I forgot which one it was, but I pretty much just like devoted everything I did to that meet so I can qualify for the meet. And I just hit a 1510 total, I believe. Then I did the Raw Unity meet, and I think I just did the exact same thing. And I was like, fuck, I suck now. But at that meet, and really at those meets leading up to it, you saw for some reason people were traveling down to this area for these like Raw United meets. There was no big prizes or anything. It was just like known as the only like big Raw meets because they had like I don't even want to call it real TV because it turned out to be like these little shitty stations that like no one knew about, and they would do like interviews to make people feel cool. But people came down, like Ryan Selly, he was just on Dave Tate's podcast. Dennis Sherry, he was the big drug tested bencher back then. So like we saw all these people, like Garrett Griffin, like they all came. That was really cool to be a part of. And I did it, and then after that, I kind of just kept going and going. And then I think after that year, I don't know if I did another Raw Unity until the one with
Till 2014, it looks
yeah, they
like.
moved to Port St. Lucie with the animal pack. They had the rap day and the non-rap day.
And I think that was probably one of the
That was the best.
biggest years, right? One of the best ones, right?
Yes, yeah, I
I
did that one.
remember watching that. I forget where I was, but I remember it was on my fucking phone, terrible quality YouTube live stream, right? That I'm pretty sure is still up. Like literally like what I had in my live stream this past weekend, what I told you to do, just get a
Yeah,
shitty webcam, right? Little shitty old webcam. But man, that was fucking exciting. It was so many people doing that.
yeah, it was good. Like I remember Mark Bell came down because he wanted Andre Milanichev to use his knee wraps to break that this 1,014 pound squat. And I don't think he wore the knee wraps, but he still did it. Yeah.
So from that period of 2011, doing your first Raw Unity meet to 2014 was really, I got into powerlifting end of 2012, early 2013. You could probably attest to it. Just a big burst, a big surge. The playing field starts getting way higher. To be able to compete at Raw Unity meet, it becomes way more difficult, I'm sure, as well, right? So along that, where does it come into play? You're following along with these guys. If you guys are open, you're looking at his open powerlifting. He's getting strong as shit already at this point, just a couple years into it. pretty much still a junior, right? So at what point did all-time world records get on your radar, and when was your first attempt at one?
So ironically enough, the meet we just spoke about, that big Raw Unity in Port St. Lucie, Dan Green did 782, which broke, I think it was Sam Bird's record. And there's like a big like overview picture of him doing the squat. And I'm sitting in the front row looking like it was not my intention, but I'm just like my head's back. It looks like it says like that's not shit. And like I set a goal for myself that day. I was like, I think I could do that one day because like squats always been my best lift. I knew I was like a blown up fat 242 that could lose a little bit of weight. And the next year I did the Raw Unity in DeLand, which I did not do good at. And that day I was like, fuck this. I'm going to lose the weight, like whatever I had to lose. And I'm going to do a meet in May down in Fort Myers as an RPS meet. And I'm going to break that record. And that's what I did. So, yeah.
2015, May 2015, squatted
Yeah.
785 and took a fucking world record from Dan Green, right?
Yeah.
Huge.
And it's a funny story. Like that was the worst weight cut ever. Cause I just mentioned like a minute ago, I'm gonna lose that weight. I didn't fucking lose that weight. I stay a little chubby. I might have lost like 6 pounds. I was like, well, I gotta lose 24 pounds this week. My grandpa, when he was alive at the time, he had all his prescription medication. And I was like, hey, grandpa, I need like some of your Lasix. So here we go. Been fucking taking Lasix, not eating carbs or drinking at all that whole week. Waking up at 2 in the morning, go to the 24-hour gym down the street, get in the steam room. I was like 226, like 6 hours before weigh-ins. Barely make it. Um, just like we used to always do, like idiots. We go to IHOP after weighing in. I start to eat. I got fucking sick. Went to the bathroom, tried to puke, I think, but instead my whole body cramped up. And I basically had to be driven to my dad's down the street because he lived in Fort Myers. And luckily he was a nurse, was able to put some IV bags in me. And somehow next day I had the best day of my life squatting at a meet. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
conceded to the fact I was not going to get it. And then I started warming up and I was like, holy shit, I feel pretty good.
So around this period, this is around the time that you and I first started interacting. It was probably 2014, 2015, something like that. One of those Battle of the Bays. I'm pretty sure you were judging, you were there. So at what period throughout your career, we were kind of at this point with competing career, did you know you wanted to do it in the give back, whatever the fuck you want to call it, regard, where you started judging and getting more involved in those aspects?
So this actually ties, this actually goes around the subject of the record, right? So I guess he's gone now, so we can kind of like say names without getting like, I don't know, but like Amit Sapir, he was the guy who wanted to break the record from me. And his lists at the time were all like very controversial. And this had nothing to do with me, but there is like some big uproar about his squats at one of those RPS meets after I did it. I think, and I think actually he broke the record at another meet, was coming to compete at the next meet with me for the record. Didn't end up happening. He did it, I didn't. I forgot what happened. But like around that time, a whole bunch of judging controversy came out. I think maybe had to do with Thomas Knight and all that stuff. So it was one of those big times where like everyone's on Facebook talking shit about judging different federations. You know how it was. And I read the subject of like, well, why don't more people, like more lifters, actually start judging? And this was when Rich Fika started the USPA. Well, took over the USPA from Brian. And then one day I was just over there and he's like, hey, what do you think about being a judge? And I kind of thought back to that conversation and I was like, well, fuck yeah, I'll do it. And then we took like the practical test and then that's how I got into that. And I didn't really get into that thinking like I was going to give back, although like that's just kind of what happened. I just want to be more involved with it because I like powerlifting and really nothing else. So that's how that started.
Nice. I remember that. I remember that. I was at one of one of those guys meet, the Brian's meet. I think it was one of the Europas, and like you said, they're not really around anymore, so you could say. I just remember he had like this lady. I don't know if his wife or something like that, with the most annoying. No, it was. Oh yeah, I remember who it was. They got involved in a different federation later, the Underloos or something like that. Bert and Mindy.
Oh yeah, so Underwoods, they held the
Underwoods, yeah.
redemptions. Yeah.
Yeah, they were emceeing at his USPA meet. It was one of the first competitions I was ever coaching at. That was probably 2014 or 2015. And it was just an interesting experience. And the next thing I know, yeah, it goes over to Fika. Then that's when I start meeting you. That's when I start meeting Jaffe, some of these other people, because at that point I had built a really big team as opposed to just taking one random old dude who wanted to compete in powerlifting. Um, so then, okay, we're at this period around 2015, 2016, 2017. You guys have heard me talk about it with a lot of people. Jordan got into it before quite a few of our guests that are around our age. He got into it pretty young. But you hear us, talk about those years, the rise of raw powerlifting. I mean, it was at the top. This is when pro meets start coming around. It went from just being raw unity. Then you have boss of bosses blowing up, right? Record breakers. You guys look at Jordan's history. He's at every single fucking one of them. You could beat it a lot.
Yeah, the only one I never competed at was the Pioneer ones in Texas. I forgot the actual name of them. Maybe just the Pioneer Open. Like Shane Holler did one last year.
I'm trying to
Santa
think of what it was. It was the tribute. That's what it
Tribute.
was
Yeah, it's
first.
the only
That's
one
what
I
it was
never
first.
made it to. Made it to the showdowns, made it to the record breakers. I benched at one of the boss of bosses because I got hurt before it, so I just did it anyways. The current I did 1 year. Yeah, I did them all.
Good old and got
Never did the
Battle of the
pack
Bay
meets.
mixed into there too, huh?
Yeah,
Florida's glorified meat.
those were good at one point. I
They
mean,
were,
I'm not saying
man.
they're bad now. I'm just saying the talent is different.
It is. It's even just kind of the times, and I've talked about this a million times with even like the other Florida boys like Shane, who's come on this and stuff, and it's like it was fun. So many fucking people and so many less fucking divas, right? We were warming up on his Fika's from his gym, shitty, super rusty bars, mismatched pound plates, one deadlift bar in the back, and then they're rushing it to the front because they need it on the fucking platform. But we were
Yeah.
okay with it, and everyone still did fucking good, and you still broke all-time world records, and it is what it is.
Now he has like just the evolution of all that too, like his gym, and then like at his meets, like all the equipment's outfitted. It's not like what we had to all do when we started. So
Right. So people are lucky now. So going through that evolution, right? Competing. Your career through all this time, you were a personal trainer at a gym, right? When did that begin? When did you start working at a gym?
I didn't start working till at a gym until 2017. During that first time, I was a college student and I worked at a restaurant 5 hours a night, 3 to 5 times a week. Hence the when you look back at it, hence the like big up because there was no responsibilities, right? Like I
Right.
like using that like as an excuse, but like really at that time period, nothing mattered but lifting. I didn't give a fuck about anything, and like I dropped college classes just so I could squat at the same time every Friday. So like that was where like the mentality was. And for some reason, I decided to get a job at a gym and work a whole bunch of like fucking hours so I can train people. And that just kind of brought my powerlifting career to like a standstill, even like actually combined with injuries, like almost like a pretty big downhill slope until about 2021. Um, but during that time period, I got really into like the business side of things at the gym because like I became the personal training manager. I was pretty good friends with the general manager at the time, so I always saw like the work it took on the back end and like like I said earlier, when I kind of get into something, it just kind of consumes my mind. And then it led to like my own thing after COVID.
So like you've talked about before, out of necessity ultimately, right? You're working at like you're the personal training manager, but it's a very corporate-ish style of gym, very traditional. We're not talking about you're working at a powerlifting gym or a CrossFit gym or something cool like that. You're working with normies, normal
Yeah.
people, in a small little town in Southwest Florida, right?
Mhm.
It gets shut down. That being a corporate gym, they fully abide by that, right? Like, as everyone knows, in Florida, if you had a regular powerlifting gym, no one gives a fuck. It's everyone's still training.
Yep.
So that led out of necessity. You open what was the first name of it? And
The
you
House of Long.
House of Wong, right? You open
So
House of Wong.
I had a home at the time with a 3 car garage, outfitted with some gym equipment for myself. And then the day we found out we're closing down for whatever amount of time, I was like, fuck, like I like to make money, right? So it's like, and I had a girl working out around the clock. Her name was Linda. She was the only other trainer that actually gave a shit. And she was just starting to like come into her own, making money. I was like, fuck, I don't want her to lose all of her people. So I remember going up to her at the gym before going home. I was like, hey, like, I'll reach out to you later. We're going to reach out to all of our people and train people out of the house until this is over with. And then within like a week, it turned into everyone knowing that I had a gym. Phone was going off like, can't say off the hook because it doesn't ring. People texting me, Instagram, Facebook. And next thing you know, I'm charging people $5 a day to come in. People are buying like week passes. They're paying me extra because, like, honestly, they're just so grateful, I guess. Like, I didn't really realize it until it was all over. And then, long story short, like, I was making, I think from March to May, I made almost 10 grand cash. Just, and that's how many people came to my house during, like, I had a sign in sheet. Every day we averaged 50 to 60 people. I'd open my garage door at 5 in the morning, close it at 9 at night, and that's how it was. And no one got sick. It's fucking weird, right?
I remember watching it, every single one of your stories. I saw it. I'd see the amount of people crammed into there and just like the energy, and you could tell like it was a good thing and it was a good time for everyone. Because I mean, it was a fucking weird time, right? A lot of us are like, what the fuck? Come on. Like I said, I was working at hybrid. We never fucking actually shut down, you know?
Yeah.
I had my own garage thing. It was kind of like a glorified vacation for a lot of people,
No,
right?
it really was, man. And that's kind of, so I didn't plan on opening the gym because we actually opened back up in the end of May, I think it was. And we stayed open. It was a lot slower after that because it gave a lot of, my theory is it gave a lot of the customers the choice to cancel because the way it kind of, whatever, that gym didn't do a good job of keeping their customers through it. So a lot of people like left. So they didn't have to do that whole like process of canceling, like most commercial gyms make you do, come in, do a meeting, call this customer service shit. Everyone got out of it. They never really regained their membership. So like I was slow. People were still coming to my house because they prefer it. So I was training a few people there. They went bankrupt, closed down. I actually kind of figured out what was happening the day of, luckily. So the next day, I had a meeting at the place I'm in now, and I signed the lease probably like a week later, and then opened up. Like if you have my open powerlifting up, I did that surge meet in 2020, and I went up there early, had a hotel room, and just worked on opening the gym from the hotel room. Did the meet, came back, and pretty much opened it up.
That's what's up, man. So with that COVID, the gym reopened. It was, I mean, it had to have been in the back of your head, but it wasn't like getting executed on paper. You weren't like, I'm going to go look for a location. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. I want to be a gym owner.
So what was really in my head is, you know how, I don't know if you're like me, and when someone kind of like insinuates you can't do something and they're kind of like shitty about it, passive aggressive about it, you get like really spiteful. You're like, well, fuck this guy. I'm going to do it. We had this manager and someone else from another gym, because it was like a corporation that had like six in Southwest Florida. Someone left on their own. And like, I think this guy knew I was doing stuff on the side too, but couldn't really prove it. And we had like some big meeting, and then he said some shit like, well, everyone thinks they could do it on their own, but they really can't. He like gives me this look. I was like, fuck this guy. I was like, this guy's a douche. Like, just tell me if you're talking to me. So I'm like, all right, well, this guy's always on my ass in these meetings. It's fucking annoying. So I was always like thinking, I'm gonna open my own like studio. I'll just a small place. I'll have like train all my people, make the money I'm making, and I will make it like a very private gym for like a small group of people, open gym, and they can just train, pay enough for me to pay the rent. Because at the time, rent was not very much for that one unit. And then I went and looked at the place with Joe Milslogel. He's sponsored some of your meets. And he's like, why don't you just get the unit next door too and make it like a big gym? And I'm like, that's not going to work, dude. He's like, no, just do it. I was like, all right, I'll just do it. And then here we Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, you know what? Let's just fucking do it.
Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like you lose money. I mean, money's very easy to make. It's all
Right.
over.
I mean, you'd already seen how that cash flow can come in.
Yeah.
You had a huge upper hand, right? And this is what I've told so many people because everyone's like, "Oh, I want to open a gym. What advice do you have?" You have to analyze your market. You have to
Mhm.
see what potential you have. You are not going into a big city where rent is extremely high and there is a million other gyms you're having to compete with, right? That's not the case.
Yeah.
And on beyond that, you already had a huge market of people who had already bought into you and what you were doing. and you give them something else, they're going to come over and they're going to take it, right?
I'll be completely honest. Like, if I didn't have the following I had from the other gym, because I was like, I don't want to say like the big time trainer because I'm not really like that great at it, but like I had everyone because like there's no retention at those gyms for the trainers. I stuck around, so they all just ended up being mine. So if like this people were this guy, this girl, this guy, they leave, get fired, and they just come to me. I'd retain most of them, and I was always busy. And I ran the gym's boot camp program too, so I had a whole bunch of those females come over too. And then just like the people that knew me from the COVID era that I met, they started to come over. So I had like I was able to pay the rent from that first year with just memberships within like my first month, and I don't think many gyms can say that.
No,
Because
you
yeah,
can't.
and I'll go ahead and say if you took all that away, even now knowing what I now know now, like, all right, I want you to go find that 5,000 square foot place. We'll give it to you for free for a year. I want you to build your gym up. I'd have a hard time doing that because
Yeah.
I am not good at the advertising. I like now I'm a little better at it. I'm starting to understand paid ads more and all that stuff, but that is not I wouldn't be doing very good. Like I'd probably just be making it.
And I've said that before, and I tell so many people that same thing. I was like, man, when you're young, right? You're new into it. Man, I'd like to open a gym one day. That'd be cool. I thought that when I first started working at Soul in 2012. Fast forward a couple years, I'm like, oh no, fuck no, I'm not gonna do this shit. I'm not
How
gonna.
much is a barbell? It's like, can
Right,
you eat so many of
exactly.
them? Yeah.
I go to hybrid. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm happy, operating things with them. I still don't want to do this shit. But then when I had the opportunity laid in front of me to collaborate it with Ghost, it's like you add all those no-brainers. You know that it's like, okay, this is giving it a name, it's giving it a reputation. You have backing. I have all the equipment. Well, yeah, it's a no fucking brainer. Same in your situation. Okay, well, I have all my clients. They're already paying me XYZ. I have all these people going to come over. Yeah, it makes sense. But to do it from the ground up and hope that maybe you'll be okay, it's a huge fucking roll of dice. Gyms aren't fucking easy.
Most people aren't like us. I think we're pretty similar that we've always been pretty like business minded. And even if like we had no intention of owning a business, like I think that's just how we operate and how we think. So I think most people that open gyms like we have, I don't want to name any gyms in the area that we know, but like they're probably not like there's reasons why those owners also have other jobs. And they
Right,
turn it into a key fob gym and get by on charging $30 a month or some shit.
right.
Like like not to be rude, like it's just they don't have that skill or they have not expanded into that like realm of things and really figured it out. So
And that's
but
the nice thing. And I say that same thing. It's like it's not a bad thing if you still have another job and this is your passion project. You're still able to have a facility. You might never take home a dollar from it, but you get fulfillment from walking in there every day, knowing it's your own, and hopefully you're not having to take money from your job or your outside thing, but be ready to do that if you need to. But to be able to build something up and like really live the fucking dream, like what I started by fucking saying. We our life is getting to buy things that we don't even get to use to give to our people to make them fucking smile, and it makes us fucking smile, and it's pretty fucking cool.
yeah. And then like you said, we talk all the time about gym equipment. Like it's funny how when everyone's working and doing whatever the fuck they're doing, I'm like, oh, I'm looking at Facebook Marketplace all day on and off. I'll screenshot it, send it to you. You've seen it within 3 seconds. Like, yeah, this is what we do all day.
That's right, man.
And like again, like this will probably lead into one of our next topics, but I think we have both figured out how to actually make money running powerlifting meets. And that's pretty good supplemental income for our gym.
It is.
Like,
And I've said this a lot of times to people when a meet director says, "Oh, I just do it for the love of the sport and I just do it to give back and there's no money." If you do things right, your time is valuable, man. People's
yeah,
time is valuable. If you're doing something for nothing just because the good old love of it, I don't first of all, people don't buy that. Okay. A meat
you're
director
making
should be making money. Okay. Because it's your time, it's your energy, it's your equipment, it's your effort put into it. So I hate when fucking people say that. But yes,
money.
there are other steps that go along into it, and that's the business mind and being smart about things because you should be making money from it. And if you're not, reevaluate what you're doing and you're wasting your time on.
Yeah, and I'll probably rant on something that you'll like too when we talk about the meets with the whole business stuff. Well, like you just said, meat directors say, I'll do it for the love of it. Like, yeah, we do. And I remember hearing them say, you make no money doing it. And I'm like, all right, well, now that I'm running meets, how did that guy not make money doing it when I know he didn't pay his fucking judges or her judges? Like, they got pizza, everything was volunteer. They ran it in their own gym. The entry fee cost X amount of money. Where how they use their own gym equipment? Like, how do they not make money?
Yeah. And
Yeah, so
I'll just say this
this
right
is
now
like going back
too.
to like 2012, 2013 when I used to hear that shit. Like,
Of course, and it stretched further on beyond that. And I think we're in a good position now that that's not the case. But I will say, if you are someone who wants to give back and you're going to a local level meet and you're spotting and loading and you're not walking away with $100, you fuck that guy. You know, if he's like, but I got you food and here's a sick t-shirt,
I
fuck
would
those
pay
people.
$100 not to spot and load.
Yeah,
Like,
man. Literally, the amount that I hype up these young kids who are always willing to come to my gym, always have a great fucking time. And it's like, man, like you just said, I would pay God knows what
and
to not have to do that. My
a hundred
body.
bucks in some food is not worth to me, right? Like I would still do it if I were asked because like we like the sport. When you really break it down by the hour and what's required, and like they usually end up helping breaking down the equipment and transporting it or whatever you have to get done. Like they're making fucking Bangladesh money. So like,
Hey,
yeah,
it's some good ass pizza though. But at least they're making some money, right? And that's all I have to say. It's like if you're a meat director, do it right. At least pay your people, pay these people, pay that people. But you should be walking away with money as well. And if your meat director's telling you that they're not, that it's all for the love of it, their reinvestment, they're lying to you. And do you want to support someone who's fucking full of shit? No. All right. But it also, like you said, it helps grow your other sides of your businesses. It can all tie into each other. It's additional supplemental income to help you grow your gym, help you grow your business. And if you're not constantly trying to improve it, then you're just a $30 a month key fob gym while your career is elsewhere and you can't and don't need to be as invested into it, right?
when you do those meets right, it becomes a funnel for so many different avenues. Like one members, like one good, like I just ran into I ran a kids program over the summer, like semi-private training, 6 kids to lead into the youth meet I put on last weekend. And I kind of did the numbers on it yesterday in a spreadsheet. I analyzed how much they paid to get in, which was 1,029 a kid. So it was over 6 grand for the gym right off the bat. Then that got them into the meet. And what do kids have? They have families, right? So just from one kid, he had 2 parents that wanted to join the gym. So it's 2 memberships. They both signed up for the transformation contest I started in July. That's 2 entry fees of that. Both of them got personal training. Now there are other kids joining the gym. So like the lifetime value of that client, that one kid and that family is like honestly, if they stick around a year, it's going to be $7,200 or so. They stick around for 5 years. Do the math. So, and then you go down the list with the other kids too. Like they're going to be part of the next camp I have. It's going to be it's just going to be a constant thing. There's no end date, so it's recurring money every week. Again, their parents get into the gym. That's another pretty much guaranteed lifter at every meet you do because when you're a kid, you want to do them all. That's event t-shirts. That's the gate. It's just I know I'm going on about it, but like
But
when
you're
you
also perfectly speaking to something that I also preach about that people have to understand is you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into a complete niche, right? People say, I want to open a powerlifting gym. It's like, no, I don't own a powerlifting gym. I own a gym. Same
yes,
as you own a gym. Are there a lot
the
of people who powerlift, a lot of people who like to powerlift? Yes, but if you're just catering to that one little market, you're going to intimidate everyone. You're only blasting super loud, heavy music all the time, and it's a bunch of fat powerlifters. That's not going to grow a fruitful business.
yeah, I was actually just telling someone who took a tour of the gym that out of my current member base, if you really did the math, it's maybe 13 to 15% that have ever done a powerlifting meet. And that's actually a lot if you really like the way we're talking. And and I was like, most of them actually didn't come here with the intention of ever doing a meet. They were like from those boot camp programs, or like they went to a meet and saw like anyone can do it, and they just really like doing it. Um, but the remainder of those people, like if you just get a few of them to go to a meet, they'll like it. But when you, what was I going to get at? Oh, so like my gym kind of has that like label as being a powerlifting gym. I think that's probably turned away thousands of dollars a month for me. That like I wish I could figure out a way to convey the message like, hey, we're a gym, not a powerlifting gym. We just have powerlifting shit here. Like I'll always hear shit from people like, oh, like I don't want to go there because like I'm not strong enough yet. Like, first of all, we don't have any world-class lifters at our gym. So like you're fucking fine. But that's something I've heard a lot around town. So like if I can get that stigma out, I think the gym can do a lot better. And in return, actually, funny enough, convert a lot of those people to powerlifting once they see what it's really like.
I feel like in your new location, when you move, when you change your layout, how you lay it out, I think you can pitch and kind of show it like that. Like it's really helpful in my gym when I walk people around, when I give them tours, that the gym is completely split in half. I literally say, this is the free weight side with barbell training, da da da. But then I take them to a complete, and this, they see all these young kids, strong people, whatever. But then I take them to another side, and they're like, oh, here's where I'm going to feel
Mine
more
too. It's
comfortable.
separated by a wall.
Yeah.
So, but on social media, everything's posted on that one side of the wall with stall mats and the racks. The other side, you have this overpriced, what's that floor called that I have?
The rolled rubber.
The epoxy floor.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, with the nice ass floor, all the machines all over. But like no one knows about that side. Everyone comes in and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know this was here." And I was like, "Yeah, most expensive part."
Yeah. Exactly. But so with that, when was your first meet that you directed? Right. I think it was around when you had the gym already open, and bring us to present day and your current meet evolution.
All right. So the first meet was June of 2021. The gym opened in November 2020. I was driving home from Miami from a hybrid meet with Alexis, actually. And we were kind of just talking, planning the meet out because I don't even know if I announced I was going to do it. No, I think I announced it that week. And I was like, dude, I don't know what to call it. Like, I'm not creative. And she's like, it has to have the word super in it. I'm like, all right. And we just came up with the super classic, showcase super classic. So we rolled that out the next week. So it was the end of June, third week of June. It was a 1 day meet, supposed to be a 1 day meet. It filled up in like a day, like less than a day. So I made a second day. And then I was fortunate enough to been helping out like Rich Fika, just judging and seeing like the back end work of running a meet. So I had that background knowledge where I wasn't really blind. And I'm also fortunate enough where like all my friends in Florida have been around powerlifting a long time, brought them in to judge, spot. Like I had all the hookups basically. Like everyone wanted to help out. That was very successful for my first one. I kind of figured out the money I could make without even trying. And then I did the December one, and then they kind of just spiraled. I did a charity one after the December one, and now I try to run about 4 events a year.
Was already in that first year, the December one, the king and the queen of the platform?
Yes, so 2021 was the Showcase Super Classic, and December was King and Queen of the Platform. And I just really wanted a WWE wrestling themed event, and they had the whole King of the Ring, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna name it King of the Platform. And 3 years later, it almost happened to Canada too.
Fucking Canadians, huh? They always want
They're
to
watching. I
get
really don't give a
started.
shit. Like they changed the name and everything. It's like, dude, I really don't care.
Wait, they
Like,
changed it?
yeah, they did.
Nice.
Yeah. All because
Re-
of you.
Respect through fear, bro. So, with that being said, I've always seen King and Queen of the platform. Was last year the first time that you had some like bigger name, so to speak, do it, cash prize, etc.?
No. So the first year I had, I don't remember. So I had the bigger names in Florida, right? Like no one that's like, I don't want to say they suck or anything, but like not world class, but like you had a 505 dot score, probably winning it, maybe a little higher. And then the year after, it kind of like went up a little bit, and then the third one was, oh, that was last year. Yeah, Shane came, Chad
Chad.
Pence came.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of people, and that was really good. And the guy at Lance from Zero Dark 30, he made those videos. And I think that really helped like make the meet look pretty big. Like Barbara Lee was there. Just all the content was really good. And then this year's the fourth one. And now we have like really good lifters on both ends. And I believe it's because like the reputation, like I hate to toot my own horn, but I do feel like I put on a really good meet. And I don't think it's because of just me. Like I know it's not just because of me. I have the best help, the best, like you know how it is. And with no meets really being in the December timeframe or in the June timeframe, those big meets are the ones everyone goes to that want to compete in that time. So like they kind of just organically grew. I figured out how to make more money from the meets to give prize money. And then when you just say, "Hey, I'm going to give this much money out," like they become
Pretty
pretty
motivated. And
yeah.
the funny thing is not to like trash on anyone or anything like that. People get so excited when they see a dollar sign, even if they're not even in the top 10%,
Yeah.
that it will be potentially receiving any of that dollar sign. They're like, oh, sick. You know what I mean? I got to go over there. But it's not just that. People do like the money. It is more also you've been spiraling it. Everyone who's not 20 years or younger, knows who you are. All the people around our age or closer, you've been around. And then this last year, getting to have some of, your friends and the Florida people give it really good exposure, set it up where it's like I knew it was going to be good. This last year was great, but you were able to really pull in a lot of big names and cool fucking lifters, and it's cool to see. Like on last week's episode, I said, man, I've been trying to get Christy to come to my meets for 6 years. I've invited her to every hybrid showdown, every Ghost Clash, and never got her. And you finally got her to fucking Florida. That's fucking cool.
Like I have had pretty good lifters at almost every meet that like people have heard of. So like my first one, Andrew House came down and broke the all-time
That's
junior
right.
record.
That's
He
right.
won $1,000, proposed to his girlfriend in a CrossFit gym in Port Charlotte, Florida. And after that, they just kind of kept going up and up. The second June meet, the Showcase Super Classic 2, I had Dan Bell came down because I tried to make the pro day. That was the biggest, I think that was the biggest failure I've had running a meet because there was like 25 lifters. They didn't really, like the females didn't really come out for that one. So I kind of didn't want to do like a pro day again because I really do like the feel of having like this many pros, this many like amateurs, and they all like compete together, have fun, and it kind of shows like those amateur lifters like what powerlifting is really about, how people really are not on the internet. So like it's cool seeing like the guys and girls from my gym go share the platform with guys like Dan or Shane or whoever, and they're all like helping them out, bullshitting in between events, and it gives them a good feel for the sport.
It's true. It's really a pro am in a true way, right? Like I refer to my meet a pro am. I refer to Power Surge, Boss of Bosses used to be all that stuff, but you're competing on a different day, right?
Yeah,
With the pros, it might be the same platform, it might be the same bar, but that is a pretty cool approach. You could put the pros in their own flight so that they're actually competing, be able to
yeah.
track each other's scores, but you have everyone else also involved.
Just as well as I do, man. Like you probably deal with this a lot. When you have a whole day full of 50 quote unquote pros, like they're divas. Like they're the fucking annoying people of the powerlifting world. Like they'll be texting you every day. Like I'll do it to you too. Like, oh, what bar are you using? What bench? Like it's like fuck off. But like these other people, like the ones not at that level, they just have fun. They have nothing to bitch about. There's no like expectations. They don't be special treatment. They don't bitch about whatever, like a food truck outside. So yeah.
Yeah, man. So give us a little bit of taste. I talked about a little bit on last week about King and Queen of the platform. It's in December. We're like 13, 14, 15 weeks out. 15
We
weeks
are
out.
16
14.
weeks out from this weekend.
Okay. So when this comes out, it'll be like 14 and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
So talk to us about who's on the roster, what you got planned. Tell us about the cash money. Hit us with that.
All right. So let me pull up the Instagram. So I released something the other night, basically just kind of a quick little preview. I have Door. Welcome. For the male day, we have 25 people at a 500 plus dots or just under. And for the females, it's not as stacked, but we do have pretty much 17 lifters with a minimum of 400 dot score. So when you go back, when you emphasize the females, what's really cool about that is the first queen of the platform, the winner had a lower than mid 400 dot score. So like every year it's gotten bigger and bigger. And for the men, like I said earlier, it was always like the 520s, 515 ish, gunning for second and first place, except for last year when Shane and Chad came. Um, but this year we have, so I'll just go like the top three. On King of the Platform, the third lowest dot, or the out of the top three, the third lowest is 570, Joel Jansen. I believe he's from Canada, no Instagram. Seth Albersworth told him to do it. Number two is Jordan
I've
Farr.
always pulled that. I've always pulled that guy's name to make him an invite every
Yeah,
year because he's in the top of open powerlifting. And let me just say this really quick: if you're listening to this and you're a pro level lifter and your fucking Instagram name is Jingleheimer Schmidt and you're not linked on open powerlifting, you're a fucking asshole. Because you make my life so hard every year for me to find you and send you your cool little fucking thing. Make it your fucking name. But yeah, I've always looked for that guy. I couldn't find him. So cool that he's going to be there.
yeah. And then number two, Jordan Faria, original Florida guy. He lives in Arizona now with 571. And then at first, we have Blake LeHue, 630, obviously the favorite to win, right? And then for the girls, we have number three, 567, Cherie Marcel. Number two, Samantha Royce, 676. And number one, as we spoke about, Chrissy Hawkins, 711, who is the highest female dot score of all time. And obviously the favorite to win. But when you really put it side by side, just one or two missed lifts and one or two made lifts, Samantha could probably win. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen Chrissy compete in a long time. No, she's American Pro last year.
Are they
But
both doing sleeves?
yeah, this is all the money goes to sleeves.
Okay. So yeah,
So
her 711 is in wraps though.
is it really?
Yeah. Her best sleeves is 676.
And Samantha's is
Let,
676 as well.
let's
I'm
let,
talking about Christy.
yeah, that's what I just said. I just
Oh,
said
so they're both at 676 the sleeves.
yes.
Well, that makes it
Yes.
even more exciting, right?
Yes,
So,
bro. Yeah. No, wait, hold on. Sam's 676 is wraps. Her raw is 665. And that was at the Ghost Clash. That was with her missing her third squat, missing her third bench, missing her third deadlift. And that
okay.
was her putting a YOLO deadlift on at that 668 because I think that she was trying to get a 700
Oh,
dots raw or something crazy by loading that 668. I'm not sure what she was trying to do with that. Maybe it was also heaviest total of all time, something. So they're
yeah,
actually
both
like
power
this in
they're neck and neck.
sleeve dots. Could we see fucking one of them take a crack at a 700 dots in sleeves? That would be fucking loony. And if there's any two women who could do it, it's those two women, no one else. Simple as
Yeah.
that. No one else.
And then Shireen, she's not as close in the dot score, but like she's the 198 lifter. Samantha's a 198, and they're going to go head to head for the 198 all time squat record. Samantha currently has it, so that'll be pretty cool to watch. I threw down the challenge of a $3,000 bonus to anyone that breaks the all time women's deadlift, which I think is 645.6 from Brianna Terry. That was actually my way of trying to get Brianna to come down. Didn't fucking work, but like I thought that
You
was
never know. She's also one like she joined the Ghost Clash slightly more last minute, so you never know. They
based
can
on
keep,
social
keep
media. It looks like she's hurt, kind of wants to do bodybuilding again. And really, like coming from Vegas to Florida for a week, $3,000 isn't really worth it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But I don't know. I think that would be really cool. Very excited. And then on top of just those three top lifters in each division, like there's a lot of talent and a lot of talent from like different areas of Florida and of the country. We have someone coming from Chile, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, it's my boy Nicholas.
yeah,
Nicolas.
yeah. So I'll actually get to that stuff in a minute with him. But yeah, overall, we have a lot of good lifting. Ran into one problem, which I'm just going to ask your advice on camera. So I have King of the Platform. It's overbooked, not by as much as you overbooked the amateur day, but I think I'm going to session this meet if I don't get at least 10 more dropouts by probably mid-September. So like I'm thinking about taking the top 20 to 25 dot scores, putting them in like the, I don't like using the word prime time because everyone else is doing it, but like that version of prime time in the afternoon after the morning session, and just kind of having everyone from that morning session stay, hang out, and watch like the big time lifters and have a good time. Um, what do you think about that? Like, do you think these lifters are going to care? That
Uh,
would that would be later, because it kind of screws with their weigh-in times, or does
well,
it really matter?
you
Because they
just,
have to adapt to it.
I'm doing it. I
Yeah.
mean, I know you didn't forewarn these people, but I believe with the American Pro last year, it was
Oh,
also
I didn't know anything.
similar. Yeah,
Jeez.
about the sessions and stuff like that. And people know that's kind of what the evolutionary change that's going on. And I think, if people know it's either a 9 to 6 or 6:30 day like last year's Ghost Clash, that was the pro day was full old school 60 lifters, and that was considered I got under 60 from the pullouts. I think people are leaning towards enjoying the sessions, and even talking about your top three, someone like Blake is athletic. I think he can perform under that. I do think that'd be the move to go. I mean, that's what I'm doing with that was my means of getting more pros. I did that for last year's amateur, or this year's amateur day to get
Yeah.
more amateurs in. And then now I'm doing it for both this next year to get more pros in. But I'm doing it 45 in the morning, top 30 in the afternoon. So I could squeeze 75 people in a day.
Yeah. And I have a very, very efficient like spotting crew. Actually, his name David. I should know
Yeah.
his name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's coming from Arizona to do this meet. He's bringing his whole crew. So they're fast as fuck. So like if I kind of lay that whole expectation, pay him enough money, like we're gonna take as little breaks as we can. Let's
Yeah.
get through this. Tomorrow, queen of the platform, more relaxed day, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I'm leaning. But again, it kind of depends on the dropouts. If I get 10 dropouts in the next 6 weeks or so, or like 10 non-payments, I'll probably just keep it like you did for the pro day. But we'll see. I'm probably going to do the session day. I refuse to do dual platforms.
Yeah.
Like it's a good idea in theory, but like I don't enjoy it. I don't want
No.
to because it gets greedy. Yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah.
That's just me.
There was that became a whole era. I mean, that was years and years for us from a coaching standpoint, from a watching it, from an attention, from a hype standpoint. Are people's eyes on you? Are people's eyes on someone else? It's no. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
could
then
have
you
all the space in the world. I mean, look, we have enough equipment, both of us, to do it. We could potentially have somewhere with enough space to do it, but that's not what really is best for the viewership and spectatorship. And you
more
want to do
importantly, the
three, four
lifters.
platforms, yeah, sure, you're gonna make a shitload more money, but that's not what it's also all about, right?
No, yeah, I could make a little more money doing that, but then you have to really think about it. You got to double the payroll, double the transport, you got to make another platform, double the electronics. It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's double
like,
everything. Yeah. Sick, man. So 14 and a half weeks out, whatever the fuck we said, it's in Port Charlotte, Florida. What's the nearest airports to there?
Punta Gorda and Sarasota and Fort Myers. You're not going to get into Punta Gorda unless it's Allegiant, and Sarasota and Fort Myers are regular.
Yeah, Fort Myers, my in-laws fly out of there more and more now when they're going back up to Boston and stuff like that. And it's not a far drive. I will be attending for the first time, right? I still haven't been to one of your fucking meets, and you've been to all my fucking meets. So I already committed that I'm going to be there, giving some cash, going to have a ghost booth set up. It's going to be a good time. I am excited for it.
Yeah. So we have you guys coming so far to have a booth. Is his name Nico? You said
Yeah.
Chili. He just emailed me before this podcast started. He wants to have a table, so Berserker Performance Gear. The No Logo Group, I think he's going to have a table for his real estate company, and then, um, fuck, I should know this. The bar is at the gym. The
Yes.
bar.
Yeah. Brian and Haley.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so she texted me weeks ago about the sponsorship information. I sent it to her. I haven't heard anything from her, so I don't know if they're going to be there, but hopefully they are.
Her and I chatted about it a bit, and I told her I was going to be there, and they're still figuring out their schedule and their calendar, but yeah, I think they might.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good time. I mean, for the tens and tens of people watching this podcast, Make sure you come to Port Charlotte, Florida.
Hey, we get over 100. I don't know if they make it all the way this far, but I enjoyed it. This was one of my favorite episodes. I always enjoy talking to you. So fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to your meet as well.
Tell everyone the gym's Instagram, your Instagram, etc.
So my personal one is Wong, WONG, Stwong, spin on words, Wong, STWONG. Jim's Instagram is Showcase Strength and Fitness. And if you want to go to the other Instagram I have, Showcase Strength Events, which kind of has all of our sponsor information, the information for it meets. Those two don't have as many followers as I have. So I typically just repost all that all the time so everyone can see it. Yeah.
And that's that.
That.
Sweet. Good
Yeah.
chatting with you, Jordan. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this week's episode.